everybody, Scotty Milas. Another episode of All Things Considered Franchising, and I am your host. All Things Considered Franchising is powered by Scott Milas, franchisecoach.com. All Things Considered Franchising is a weekly series of podcasts that provide education and guidance in the franchising industry. Scott Milas Franchise Coach is a tenured and successful franchise consulting company helping individuals build a roadmap, begin the journey of investigating and researching franchises that are a best fit for reaching short and long-term goals. The services we provide are at no cost to our clients. Today's guest, Jeff Gartner, president and founder of Hudson Valley Swim, along with his wife, Joan. Back in 2003, the idea came about. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Scotty.
Good. Let's jump right into it. Jeff, by trade, I guess, as an entrepreneur, your background has been in general technology, software development. Your wife and you created a franchise, Hudson Valley Swim. I think if I'm correct, you started the actual business in 2003, but franchised it just recently in 2022. Tell us a little about Hudson Valley Swim. How did you get to this point? Was it a life event that made you start thinking about teaching people how to swim? Because you start from 6 months and you actually teach adults as well, correct?
That's correct. We run the full gamut of swim lessons, including special needs and competitive swimmers as well. So we go soup to nuts, or just short of having our own swim team. So we started back in 2003, and that actually the idea came about because when my kids were young, we used to bring an instructor into our backyard pool to teach them and some of the neighbor kids how to swim. And the instructor that we brought in was phenomenal. And, I had dabbled in a few other businesses, real small businesses over time. And I came up with the idea, hey, we ought to look at doing this as a business. And so the idea grew from there.
Interesting. Teaching children how to swim and even adults has become, at least within the franchising industry, I guess the term or the slogan is it's a life-saving event, teaching people how to swim. I think I read statistically that the amount of children that sadly pass away because of drowning is pretty alarming. And this has become swim lessons or teaching children how to swim, even adults, has become a life-saving measure. Talk about the role that swim lessons or teaching people how to swim is actually that life-saving event. I mean, it's an important part of life. We probably don't realize that we are probably around water or bodies of water, even the bathtub, I guess, in some regards, a lot more than people realize. Am I correct here?
Yeah, there's a lot of alarming stats in there. For instance, less than half the children in the United States know how to swim, yet 85% of them spend time around water in the warmer months. So that's a recipe for disaster, and that's evidenced by a lot of the statistics that are the CDC puts out. So there's 11 drownings, fatal drownings every day. So that's about 4,000 a year. But what you don't hear about as much is there's another 8,000 near fatal drownings. And that when I say near fatal, that doesn't mean these people are out of the woods. So there are long-term effects as a result of a drowning that's not fatal. That could be brain damage from lack of oxygen. It can be respiratory issues and other long-term effects. And so we look at swim lessons as more of a mandatory activity than something like gymnastics or dance or t-ball. right? They're not in the same category. It's critical that you learn how to swim. It's not as critical that you learn how to dance. And that's no knock on those other sports. I don't really consider them in the same category. And hence we've trademarked the term swim lessons save lives. And because that's
Interesting.
really our mantra,
That's
as
interesting.
you were saying.
So you started your business in 2003, kind of an idea when you were bringing your children to swim lessons, your own children, in a neighbor's pool. Um, how did the business develop? I mean, is this something that you said, "Hey, we're getting lessons over here," and started to invite other families to bring their kids and use the same instructor that you had mentioned? I mean, give us kind of this profile or image of how the business started to grow.
Well, the first step was finding a year-round location because, where we are in New York, um, the you have a 2 or 3 month season, and it's the same way in a lot of the United States. So we had to find an indoor pool so that we could run year round. Back then, when we first started, social media really wasn't a thing.
Right,
And
wasn't
so
aware.
trying to grow the business back then was a lot slower than it is today. Plus, we had to learn, what worked. Did radio work? We had to try it. Did the newspapers work? We had to try it. The penny saver, road signs, money mailers. We tried it all, and those were really expensive ways to market the program, and they had very limited utility for us. So it took a while to grow the business, but once um, social media started to rear its head, some might say ugly head. I look at it more positively than that. It was a lot easier to get the message out. And whether it's an ad or just a video of a child doing something really spectacular where people are like, wow, and then sharing that and tagging other people and so forth. It really helped to build the business through those using those tools. And we sort of bottled that all up into here's your recipe for how to do it. And we would, as we expanded ourselves into multiple locations, we were able to, okay, what's the recipe that worked here? Let's try it here. Yes, it worked. Let's do it again. And we did it again and again
Interesting.
and again.
So
And
you decided to expand the business into other areas. Um, so in franchising, we would call that corporate locations, I guess, or
yes,
corporate territories. And you were doing this before you actually became a franchisor. So the challenges, I guess, were to find the locations, the pools, to rent the water, I guess, to teach, and then also finding the instructors for those locations or instructor, then doing the advertising to get the parents or adults to come in for the lessons. Correct? I mean that's
yes.
just to set the stage. So you were growing, getting into the corporate locations. Flash forward 19 years, 18, 19 years. You don't wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I want to franchise my business." What was the strategy instead of keeping it independent and moving into more corporate locations? What was the strategy and how did you get to maybe we should franchise this? Because I know probably why you did it, although I don't want to say because I'd rather hear it from you, but I want to educate the audience, especially if our audience has businesses that they're thinking about franchising. So what prompted you to take a look at franchising the business and then eventually go to that route?
Well, I would have to. I'm going to bet with you, Scotty. I'll bet you a beer that that my reasons were not what you thought. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
so I was approached several times by companies that do work with
FSOs,
companies like mine. Yes.
franchise sales organizations, they're called
Yes.
FSOs in the franchising industry. Yep.
So they to help me, hey, you've got a great business model. This business model is something that others have moved into the franchise space. You ought to look at doing that. Um, as we start to, grow to another location, it's like I already had developed the concept of bottling it up.
Right.
And so that combination of them chirping in my ear along with my need to my background is in business process automation and things like that, and a lot of what I was already doing, I said, you know what, let's take a look at that. What is that opportunity? So now, Scotty, you tell me what you thought.
No, that's I think we have to buy each other a beer, so we're gonna have to drink one each. But actually, Jeff, that is probably the primarily reason people get into franchising their business, is that they start to develop the corporate locations one after the other, and the systems, the management of those systems, the people implementing the systems, making sure that they're being duplicated, becomes a not so much a challenge, but the organization starts to grow and grow and grow. Whereas franchising allows you to take those systems, duplicate it, but have a business owner, somebody who has, who owns the business, your system, so to speak, your license to run the business. It becomes a lot easier on the corporate side, although you pick up a lot of some other headaches along the way, probably. But and I think you'll laugh at that. But it just makes it a little bit easier to build and scale the business versus doing it all yourself.
Yeah, and then the other item that I didn't mention was, I love this business. I mean, I'm really, really passionate about this business and what it does for the communities that we serve, right? And I have this drive to help people. I've always been involved in the community, coaching and so forth. And I believe that there are others like me that are just sort of looking for the right type of business that gives them the same satisfaction that we have, that want to help their communities, have that servitude kind of an attitude, and
Yep.
and so I just want to help find other people that do the same thing and for the better good of the communities.
Yep. No, I mean that's great. And obviously, look, you're building something on your end as well. You're obviously building other locations or helping people get into the business that may have the same feeling, a community involvement like you, who want to give back to the community, provide a necessity to children, adults, swimming lessons. The reasons why you franchise it are valid reasons. Other than just waking up in the morning and say, well, I want to be a franchisor. There was a reason you wanted to scale the business, and this became a source to be able to scale the business. Let's talk about the brand, Hudson Valley Swim. Kind of the model. It's not a brick and mortar facility, so you don't have to own your pool. You're renting pools or renting the space or the time within the pools. Tell us a little bit about the model. Tell us a little bit about the type of franchisee you're looking to bring into the system. If our audience is listening, people that may be considering a business model that's really getting involved with the community, works with children. Tell us a little about what you're looking for as far as a franchisee and the model itself.
So the model itself, as we discussed, is a pool rental model. So we find facilities, fitness centers, tennis clubs, and so forth that have indoor pools to start, that where their water is underutilized. And that's usually a very large square footage in a facility
Right.
that is not generating any revenue for them. So there's certainly a lot of value to bring a program like ours in, so that they can make some money. Plus, we are bringing new potential customers into their facility that that we're marketing. There's no cost to them to market to, so it's kind of a win-win all around. Um, the the value of using the pool rental model to us and a franchise or potential franchise owner is time to market. We can get you up and going in as little as 3 months. Your initial investment is low. You don't have to build a pool, and those typically take 2-3 years to get through
Right.
all the planning and so forth. And it's certainly a few dollars behind that. The operational costs are really low, so the ability to break even in a very short amount of time is very realistic.
Okay.
And not just break even, but go in the black,
Right.
and so it's a really low risk type of an opportunity for folks. Um, the perfect owner to us, as we sort of alluded to, is somebody that wants to do something for the communities, run a business that they could be proud of. There's a lot of great businesses out there that aren't the most glamorous, and this is kind of in a way is, it's one that you could really promote. You can be happy putting it on when you sponsor a local team, putting it on their shirt. It's a
Right.
good brand. Um, so a community-oriented person, they don't have to have any aquatics background. They're going to run the business. We're going to location without securing a pool, first of all. And we do have a national contract with a large fitness facility. We're working on others, so that we have access to water. But we also work with them to find the right type of instructor. So one of the values of our swim program is we have um, very, very experienced swim instructors. We're not really looking for the rookies, somebody making a minimum wage. There's a lot of programs out there that,
Right.
in my opinion, underpay and they get what they pay for. So we're looking for the more expensive instructors, the ones with that might have 5, 10, 15 years of experience doing this as a career, you know. But it's not just how much experience, it's not the certifications they have, they may have. It's, are they a teacher? Do
Right.
they inspire you? So those are
Hmm.
some of the personalities that we're looking for, because we've had some very, very experienced instructors that realistically were duds in the water. They were just
Right.
monotone. You've had instructors like that. Everybody that's
Yep.
listening can identify with that teacher in school that really inspired them. That's the kind of person we look for, in the instructors. And it's more than one instructor to run a full-time program. But initially, you really want to start off with that all-star. And and so that the person we're looking for, community centric, um want might be a little risk averse, might not have the biggest net worth, might even want to start off running sort of an after school and weekend kind of a program, instead of quitting their job and running it full time. Husband and wife team, or two partners, um,
Right.
that works perfectly. Those are some of the characteristics that we look for.
Interesting. So I think right off the bat, one of the things that comes to my attention, and especially in today's environment, um, we can talk about, we won't get into labor issues or anything, but I think one of the things that I like to promote to my clients is to consider brands that don't have a lot of moving parts. Um, so let's let's talk about hours of operation. I mean, I would say initially it's more of a, especially for children, it may be a before school, after school type program, especially if the kids are older than 5 years old. But if you're teaching 2 or 3 year olds, it may be morning, afternoon, or evening classes. Is that correct? I mean, are your hours Monday through Friday, the occasional Saturday, closed on Sundays? I mean, or is there the owner have a flexibility about on the hours that they want to operate? And I imagine that also is, when is the pool available as well, correct?
Well, we look for, first of all, pool availability. We look for availability 7 days.
Okay.
So we're trying to get a lane or two in the pool basically full time. Now, how much of that you use will scale.
Right.
So initially you might start off with a few afternoons, maybe throw a morning in, throw like a Saturday in. But what you'll find is the afternoons and the weekends are high demand times, especially weekends. And so be prepared to be running the program on Saturday and Sundays. In fact,
Right.
to double up on instructors, you'll grow to a point where you've got two instructors or more running on at the high demand times. Yes, there are daytime hours. That's something you can grow into. So maybe some of the special needs, the mommy and me programs. There are some adults. Those and also the homeschool. They're folks that would typically fill some of the daytime hours, but that's still lower demand.
Right.
And so at best, you'll run maybe one instructor at those times when you might run multiple instructors, from 3 or 4 o'clock on and on weekends.
Interesting. We're talking with Jeff Gardner, who is president and founder of, along with his wife, Joan, of Hudson Valley Swim out of New York, and a what we consider in franchising a growing emerging brand. Jeff, how many franchisees do you have operating? How many do you have sold? Getting ready to open? Give us a perspective of where you're going right now, your direction, growth.
Yeah, I mean it's been a little slow going. It's given us the opportunity to really streamline a lot of our processes even further, so that we can onboard more quickly. So we have one operational. We have a second one that starts next month, and we've added a few more corporate locations, and we have a couple that are sort of waiting on
Waiting.
the
Yep. Yep.
state approvals. Oh
Yep.
my God,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's probably one of the biggest
The
challenges,
registry. Yep.
the
Yep. As a
registrations.
franchisor. That's great. Jeff, we're getting ready to, kind of wind down here, but if somebody was interested in learning more about Hudson Valley Swim, getting some more information, I believe you have a family member that's involved in the development side, the recruitment side, Nick. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you or Nick, or is it just go to the website? And what's the website as far as reaching out?
Lots of ways to get a hold of us. So at a minimum, they can get a hold of you, Scotty, if they know you. You can come to our website. We're at hvswim.com, and there's a franchise section there where there's an interest form. You could always email franchise@hvswim.com or give us a call at 888-4HV-SWIM.
Interesting. All right. Anything else, Jeff? Anything else you want to, share? As we got about a minute here left. Anything else you want to mention about the brand? Anything about franchising? I mean, obviously, franchising offers a lot of options for people that are looking to become entrepreneurs, whether for the first time or diversify a portfolio. Anything you want to add before we close out here?
Yeah, I would say give us a look, because once you run through 30 minutes with us, it's actually going to inspire you. So if you're really looking for a business where you could, in a low risk way, scale to a very profitable enterprise, but be inspired while doing so, this is really worth the look. And once you have a chance to talk to Nick and I, you're really gonna start drinking the Kool-Aid.
Great, great, great. Well, Jeff, we appreciate your time here over at All Things Considered Franchising. We wish you all the best as the brand grows. I know for one what it's like to be part of a embryonic brand and building it. It's a lot of fun, but it's challenging. So we wish you all the best as the brand grows. This is Scotty Milas, host of All Things Considered Franchising, powered by Scott Milas, franchisecoach.com. If you have an interest in learning more about business ownership, investigating and researching franchises, please reach out to me at 860-751-9126 or go to my website, scottmilasfranchisecoach.com. Services that we provide are at absolutely no cost to you. We are compensated by the brands that we represent. So again, this is Scotty Milas. Until next time, all things considered franchising. Have a great day.